Yeah, what this video is going to show is my camp stove that I've made myself for little of nothing. I used a couple of aluminum cans, a tin can, a couple pieces of coat hanger, and I have in effect created a stove. It's an alcohol stove, also known as a penny can stove, and basically this is the main component of the stove. It is basically two aluminum cans. I cut the bottoms off of it, meshed them together. I have holes punctured in this one here on the outer rim. The one that's actually burning has the majority of the holes punctured on the inner rim. It gives it a more directive flame towards my pot, and it's definitely a more efficient design than putting them on the outside. In the center is where you typically would fill it. This one has three small holes on the one I'm using. I had one larger hole and I used a thumb screw to cover it. They call these a penny stove because, like on this particular design here, what you would do is just set a penny over the top of it to prevent any fumes from venting from the center, wasting the fuel. Also, typically, it's a larger hole here or more holes confined in one spot, so it's a preventative method to keep the flame from backdrafting down inside and burning alcohol inside the stove itself. Like I said, this is a tin can. It has some coat hangers coming out of it for my pot stand. It's actually pretty heavy. I've had this pot completely full of water and applied a little more pressure, and my pot stand didn't waver at all. Down at the bottom, I've got the aluminum rack that my stove sits on. It elevates it off of the bottom. Down in there is where I will dump a little bit of the ethanol and light that first. What it does is it heats up the stove to build up pressure. The methanol starts venting out of the top in the vapor form, and then it'll light up with the flames coming around the edge of my stove. It should light up and get the flames going up here. And this particular pot's been on here for just 20 or 30 seconds before I started the video, so we're talking about maybe 3.5 minutes now. And it's actually already boiling. It's a low boil, not very fast, but it's definitely ready for coffee right now. The amount of fluid that the particular stoves that I use, that I make them this particular height because they have a 2-ounce capacity. I can put 2 ounces of the methanol inside it, and it allows me enough burn time to not only boil the water, but I could have some noodles or something inside that water now, and it would still allow enough cook time to cook the noodles, as opposed to eating half crunchy noodles. As I said, it's going on about 4 minutes now, and I'm definitely at a nice rolling boil. And the only bad thing about this particular stove is it's very wind sensitive. If I was to blow on it, the flames are very easily directed away from the pot when the wind blows. I didn't even have to blow very hard, so you would typically have to have like a sheet of aluminum foil coming down. I've actually tested it outside in a fairly windy condition, where I just set a piece of foil on the ground here, half underneath my pot. After I got my weight up here in my cook pot, I just rolled the foil up on one edge, whichever side the wind was coming from, and it worked excellent. It made a nice form fit. It gave enough room for the flame. I think I actually that day had a quicker boil time I think mainly because I was trapping more of the heat in with the pot as opposed to some of it rolling out around the edges. And I guess that concludes my demonstration of my penny stove that I developed myself.